Louis Braille, the man who invented an alphabet for the blind. I became blind when I was a child. There were very few books for people who couldn't see. It was very difficult for us to learn how to read and write. We need an easy system. Could I invent one? When I was a child, I was curious, like most boys. My father had a workshop and made harnesses for horses. He had a lot of tools that I was interested in. One day, I picked up an owl, a very sharp tool, from my father's table and I started playing with it. Suddenly, I tripped and fell. The owl hurt my eyes badly. The doctor tried to help me, but my eye became infected. Soon, my other eye became infected too. I was 5 years old and when I couldn't see the sun, the fields, and all the blue sky anymore. I lived in Corbray, a small town east of Paris. At school, I couldn't run or play with the other boys. It was difficult to learn because I couldn't read or write. My teacher and the local princess tried hard to teach me, but I didn't make much progress. I was lower than the other children in the class. My parents were very worried about my future. They didn't want me to become a beggar. They wanted me to study. One day, my father heard of Quincy Winged, a school for blind people in Paris, and decided to take me there. I was 10 years old and full of hope when I arrived at the school. Do you have books for the blind person? Was my first question to Dr. Gully, the doctor in charge of the school. I was pleased to hear that they had. This is the right place for me, I thought. But soon I found out that life at Quincy was very hard. The school wasn't a pleasant place. The building was 500 years old and the rooms were cold and damp. Dr. Guillet wasn't a pleasant man. He was a cruel man who hit his students and used very unkind words to describe blind people. I was very upset. At Quincy Bank, students weren't taught how to read or write. Dr. Guillet wasn't interested in that. We were taught how to make baskets, chairs, and slippers. For Dr. Guillet, we weren't students, we were workers. He saw the beautiful things that we made. I was sad, lonely, and a long way from home. My parents didn't know that my life was so hard. Although the school was bad, it was the only place that had books for blind people. The book was large, heavy, and expensive. The letters were erased from the page and I felt them with my fingers. The problem was that I took a very long time to read each word. When I got to the end of the sentence, I couldn't remember the beginning. But I wanted to read. There were 14 books in the school and I decided to read them all. Things got better when, in 1821, Dr. Pigneau became the director of the school. We started to have music lessons. I loved to play music and it became my favorite hobby. It was much easier than reading because I didn't need to read music. I could play by ear. I was asked to play at many churches in Paris. It was good to be outside the school. People said nice things to me. I was paid for my work and I had my own money for the first time in my life. This meant a lot to me. When I was 12 years old, Charles Barbius, who worked for the army, visited our school. He told us about the system that his army used to read in the dark. They couldn't use light because the enemy might see them, so they used a system with 12 dots and dashes. The system was difficult, but it gave me an idea. When I returned home for a holiday, I started working on my idea. I went to my father's workshop and picked up an owl, that's the tool that hurt my eye, to invent a new system for reading and writing. I used the owl to write dots and pages. Various systems had 12 symbols. My system was easier. It has only 6. In 1824, I was 15 years old and I had a basic system. 5 years later, the first book was published. It was called Method of Writing Words and Music and Playing Songs by Means of Dots, for use by the blind and average for them. The system was called the Braille system. I was very happy with my system, but most teachers didn't want to use it. They read Braille and they didn't need it. They preferred the old system with racist letters because they didn't want to learn something new. But I continued to use it and started to teach people to use it. In 1834, it was shown as an exhibition in Paris. I became a teacher at my old school. My students made progress quickly and this made me very happy. But I was ill and I began to feel very weak. The damp conditions in the school weren't good for my health. The doctor said that I have tuberculosis and in 1844 I had to stop teaching. But my students continued to use my system. And then, little by little, the system spread to other schools and other parts of the world. It became the reading and writing system for the blind. My students kept the Braille system alive. The life of Louis Braille. 1809, Louis Braille was born in Corbray, French. 1822, he had an accident with an owl and hurt one of his eyes. Both eyes became infected. He was 5 years old and he became blind. 1815, Father Jacques Pauli from the Corbray Catholic Church helped with Louis' education. 1819, Louis went to Paris to study at the Royal Institute for Blind Gent, Queen's Vine. 1821, Charles Babbage visited the school and talked about his system for reading in the dark. Louis had the idea to invent his own system. 1824, he sold his work to Dr. Picknier, the director of the National Institute for Blind Gent. 1826, he finished school and became an assistant teacher at the same school. 1828, he became a teacher. 1829, he published his book Method of Writing Words, Music, and Playing Songs by Means of Dots, for use by the blind and average for them. 1824, he sold his system at the Paris Exhibition of Industry. 1835, he became ill and tuberculosis. 1837, the second edition of the Braille system was published. 1843, the Royal Institute for Blind Gent was moved to a better building. 1844, Louis stopped teaching. 1852, Louis died of tuberculosis when he was 43 years old. What do you think about Louis Braille? Thanks for your listening.